Alrighty, folks. Welcome, I suppose, to Summoner School Episode 1. It's going to be the core basics of the game. Take 2, just did a 30-minute take that didn't go through because I had my default input set to my virtual desktop. So, let's get into it. What is League of Legends? League of Legends is going to be a 5v5 MOBA. It's a multiplayer online battle arena game. Both teams are going to be fighting it out, red and blue team, on Summoner's Rift. That's the name of the map. There is only one map in League. There's not going to be like Call of Duty where you have 20 different maps. There's another game mode, ARAM. I'm not going to touch on that or in Howling Abyss, but Summoner's Rift is going to be your main map in League of Legends, the one you're going to play on pretty much all the time. Your goal in League of Legends is that you, as whatever champion you choose, and your 4 other champion teammates are going to try and team up and destroy the enemy nexus. You're going to have to destroy other structures like towers, inhibitors, before you get to the nexus crystal, though. Some quick vocabulary before I go any further, just so you guys can kind of keep up with me and maybe understand what I'm saying. This is not everything that you need to know for all of League of Legends. This is going to be just for this video, maybe some terms I'll come back to using, especially AP and AD. Definitely maybe pause the video, read those, maybe look up an understanding if you don't necessarily understand what I'm saying. Because it took me, I don't know, I honestly, for whatever reason, couldn't grasp the concept of AD and AP for a little bit. But so CC is going to be short for crowd control. And right below you have crowd control, which is going to be any abilities that induce an impairing effect on an enemy. Blinds, slows, roots, charms, suppression. I mean, there's quite a few different crowd controls in the game, and crowd control is extremely effective. The name is crowd control, so let's say you're in a 5v5 team fight. Landing a CC can give your team the opportunity to make a pick. Pick is a kill on an enemy, like make it so they can't escape you. Extremely effective to have good CC on your team. And AP, like I just mentioned, is ability power. It's a stat that boosts the effects of some items, abilities, and runes. And AP, ability power, and attack damage are the 2 types of damage in the game. There is true damage, which I'm not going to touch on that. It's really minuscule. It's AD and AP going to be 2 main damage types. AP is mainly going to be for your spells. Let's say you're a mage, like a Brand, an Ari, a Zyra, Lux. You're going to be building ability power, so that way your spells, that's where most of your damage comes from. Whereas if you're playing something like a Yone, a Master Yi, a Yasuo, most of your damage is going to be coming from your basic attacks, your auto attacks, where you just point and click with your mouse. Backing and resetting, just the act of recalling yourself back to base, clicking B. You oftentimes want to reset, maybe let's say you just had a fight with an enemy, you're low on mana, mana regen is extremely slow, obviously, so it's just best to back. You can regen mana extremely fast in the fountain as well as health, and it also gives you an opportunity to spend whatever gold you've earned while you're in your lane. And I'll touch on lanes and different roles and positions right after this. Your ulti is short for your ultimate ability, which is your R. You unlock that at level 6, and you can rank it up at levels 6, 11, and 16. And a leash is assisting your jungler. I'll talk about the jungle and the jungler, the guy who's actually in the jungle, on the other slides as well, so don't worry. A leash is something that you do kind of as a courtesy to your jungler, being like, because at level 1, you're extremely weak in the game, and so the jungle has to fight jungle monsters. That's kind of their role, I guess. And so you just kind of help them kill their first jungle monster. It gets them level 2, so maybe they get 2 abilities, helps them clear their jungle camps a lot better. So you just want to help them out. It's usually the bot lane that does this, the bottom lane. And again, I'll show you the bot lane in a second. Don't worry. You can always come back to these as well. Maybe pause the video now, take a screenshot if you want. And then the final term I have is gank, which is when someone comes to your lane to maybe try and score a kill. Maybe they want to help you get a kill on someone, or maybe they want to help you get a tower or something. All right, and here's the map, Summoner's Rift, the main map of League of Legends. Unless you're playing ARAM, which is kind of like a special game mode. Don't really recommend it if you're new to the game. Just stick to Summoner's Rift, learn the core basics of the game, fundamentals, and then maybe venture out to ARAM around level 15, 20. And yeah, so Summoner's Rift. Hope you guys can see my cursor here. You have your blue and your red team. 2 sides of the map. Obviously, it's split just like that by the river. Each side is identical. The only thing is that it's inverse. So as you can see here, there is in the jungle, there's the red side and the blue side. That doesn't have anything to do with whether you're on red team or blue team. There are two buffs, I guess, in the jungle. There's the red buff and there's the blue buff. Blue buff gives you like mana regeneration. Red buff gives you health regeneration. It's for the jungler. So yeah, basically identical map as you can see here. The pits are always on red side. So there you go. You have your lanes here. You have top lane, mid lane, and bottom lane. And as you can see, the lanes are broken up by turrets. They kind of break up the map a little bit, prevent you from just literally running all the way down and destroying the nexus and winning the game. It's going to take a little bit of time and effort and even coordination and cooperation from your team if you guys want to win a game. Take towers, eventually take inhibitors here, which will spawn you super minions, and then hopefully you guys have the plays and the skill to take the nexus. Feel free to pause here or come back at any point in the video to this time if I'm referring to something and you may not be familiar with it. If I'm talking about the jungle, if I'm talking about mid turrets, I'm not going to be talking about lane priority or minion waves too heavily. Speaking of minion waves, I will note this though. AI minions for your team will spawn at your nexus, and enemy minions will spawn at their nexus. And they will walk down to each lanes. They spawn in at around a minute, and every 30 seconds from there, they will continue spawning. And minions are a great source of gold and XP. Alright, sorry, I had an interruption, but Summoner's Rift is going to be the map of League of Legends. Again, I kind of touched on it. There's a red and blue team, which have bases opposite of the map. At the heart of the base is going to be the Nexus Crystal, where champions spawn, where minion waves spawn. Well, actually, champions will spawn in the fountain, but it's literally right there. Turret space throughout each of the lanes. We'll try and hinder enemies from getting close. I will say that I know I'm not going to talk too heavily on waves, but it is worth noting. I assume you completed the tutorial if you're watching this video, but towers will prioritize minions. Excuse me. But if you start attacking an enemy champion while you're within the tower's range, and while they're within the tower's range, the tower will shift its aggression from the minions it's attacking to you. So make sure you don't draw turret aggro. And aggro is just short for aggression, basically. Who are they attacking? And the next slide I'm going to be talking about is going to be the roles and positions within Summoner's Rift and League of Legends. And there are 5 of those. So with the roles, you have 5 champions and 5 roles, 5 spots to be filled essentially. Although there's only 3 lanes. So you have your top, mid, and bot. Those are going to be your 3 lanes, but you have 5 roles. So what you're going to have is 1 person in the top lane, 1 person mid, and 2 people bot, and 1 person in the jungle. And again, the jungle is going to be these places. They right there, there, and there, and obviously the same on that side. And those little crevices, I suppose, are going to be monsters, AI monsters. That's what the jungler will kill for XP, since they don't have access to a lane. They don't have access to minions. Those are for the laners. So they will be killing these AI camps to like wolves, raptors, krugs, like little rock golems, the buffs, and the big frog. They'll be killing those for gold and XP. So that way they can kind of, be in the game too. And then your support will also go bot lane. And I explained why right here. So you have 1 player mid and top, sorry. And then you have 2 players go bot. That's going to be your ADC, which is short for attack damage carry. That's going to be an extremely squishy target on your team, which means they don't have a lot of health. They don't build tanky items. They're not. Their goal is not survivability. Their goal is damage. They're going to be a high output of damage for your team. Really good at bursting enemies down. And that's not to say that your mid and top laners can't do that too, but the ADC will do that exceptionally well. These are going to be characters like Jinx, Ashe, Tristana, Samira, and they build attack damage, obviously, because they basic attack. They usually build attack speed with it, so they can just go and mow people down. However, there are APCs, which are ability power carries. Those are, high damage people, but they build ability power instead. Those aren't very common. Just a Veigar or Ziggs are probably the only things you'll ever see. Maybe a brand. But yeah, so continuing on with the roles, the person in the support role always goes bot with the ADC. And again, the bot lane will usually leash the buff for the jungler, just to kind of help them out. League of Legends is very much a game of if I scratch your back, you'll come scratch mine. So if you help out your jungler, you leash them their first buff, chances are when they finish clearing out all their camps, they're going to come down and they're going to gank your lane, which means they're going to help you they're going to make it a 3v2 essentially, or a 2v1 if they're going mid. They're going to basically make it so they're going to try and ensure that you get a kill and you get the gold from getting a kill on enemy champion. And so the supports are champions with very supportive abilities. This could be healing and shielding, CC, crowd control, like maybe they have a lot of stuns in their kit, which makes it really easy to kill an enemy if they're stunned and can't use abilities and can't move. Or they have escape abilities like a Thresh Lantern that will kind of teleport your ally to you, to kind of get you out of a sticky situation if you're going in for an engage or you're trying to trade some damage off with the enemies. And the final role I haven't touched on, I mean, I feel like I've touched on it a little bit, is going to be the jungler. That's the person that runs through the jungle camps. They have the most agency on the team. I personally am a jungle main. I love the jungle. I think it's the best role in League. That's why I play it. I just very much prefer to have the agency to go where I want when I want, because laners are restricted to their lanes. Like if you're in mid lane and you die, you just respawn and you go to mid. You don't really get to say, oh, I'm going to go to top. You know, you can't have two in top. You can't have a 2v1 top and then a 1v0 mid, because that guy's just going to have access to free minions, for this free golden XP, and he's going to have access to taking your tower. And obviously, your goal is to, you don't want them to take your towers. So, jungler will have the most agency. He gets to roam around the map, clearing camps, jungle camps. He gets to kill dragons and Rift Heralds objectives. They provide stat boosts for the team, and the Rift Herald you can summon, and he'll take down turrets for you. It's pretty fucking cool. And yeah, so I just prefer the agency of being a jungler and not being told where I have to go and what I have to do. So there's two phases to a League of Legends game. There's going to be your laning phase, which is how the game starts. And the laning phase is just where all of your teammates and the enemies, you're in your lanes. The top laners are in top lane, mid laners are mid, bot is bot, and obviously the jungles are ganking whatever lanes that they can, or that they want to rather. The goal here is probably just to farm. You just want to farm minions. You want to maybe look for a kill if you can. However, I will say that new players, especially coming from FPS backgrounds like myself, before playing League, never played a MOBA, never really played much strategy games. It was all just shoot them down, you know, who can hit a headshot first, you know. And so I very much came from the background of, hey, to be good, I need to be having a high KD, get a bunch of kills. But that is not the case with League of Legends. What you really want to do, if you're not dying, you're doing good. You don't have to be the one getting all the kills, but as long as you're not dying, you're probably on the right track and doing better than most of the players. So you want to be farming minions for gold during the laning phase, and you want to maybe try and take down a tower if you can, if you're fortunate enough to, or kill your opponent a couple times. Again, don't be expecting to drop 6 kills in the first 10 minutes of the game. That's not at all how the game works. Definitely takes a patience that is, for me at least, it was learned after quite a while. And there's no set time the laning phase ends. It doesn't end exactly at 10 minutes. There is a typical time of around 20 minutes or so, 20 to 25 minutes, at least in lower ranks, when the team fighting phase will end. It typically ends, though. There's usually something that starts it. Like, let's say I take a mid tower, and I'm trying to take a second mid tower. To prevent me from doing that, the enemy is going to send in their, let's assume I'm mid, obviously. The enemy is going to send their top laner and maybe even their bot lane. They're all going to come mid, so it's going to be a 5v5 or 4v5 if they're junglers out clearing camps, to try and stop me, because obviously the goal is to stop the enemy from getting into your base. So what they're going to do is send, let's say, 4 people to mid, then it's going to be me versus 4 people. Well, unless my team wants me to die, and then that gives the enemy team the opportunity to take my tower, my team is also going to react to that situation, and they're going to rotate to mid. And that's probably the beginning of the team fighting phase, where you just 5v5 all out brawl. And that's what this slide is. Another term for the team fighting phase is ARAM. It's just when it stands for all random, all mid, just basically a shit show going on in the mid lane. And it's typically in the mid lane because you got to think it's the middle point of the map. It makes it, if you guys were team fighting in bot, top would have to go all the way down, not just to mid, but then you have to go all the way down, basically double the distance just to get to the fight. And by the time that happens, the fight's probably over. So mid is usually the lane. It's also the smallest lane. So it's really easy to just pack everyone in there and hit a bunch of abilities. So that's usually why people go to mid for team fights. Team fights will also break out around objectives, though. Let's say your team is trying to take a dragon. The enemy team can contest that, and you guys can get in a brawl over a dragon if you want. Excuse me. So yeah, I kind of touched on all that. Mid lane is a good midpoint for everyone to rotate to. You know, kind of makes everyone happy. And ARAM can seem like a troll move sometimes because by ARAMing, if you have 5 people in mid, guess what? You have top and you have bot. Minions in both lanes are just kind of killing each other. No one's collecting that golden XP from them. So you guys are missing out in a sense. Earning gold in League of Legends. This is going to be basically how you win games is by earning gold. You can't win a game without gold. Okay, so as I just said, earning gold is probably the most important thing in League of Legends. Um, 3 main ways you can get it: killing minions, killing champions, and taking down towers. Supports are the exception to this. They're not supposed to kill people. I mean, they can obviously, and it's okay if they do, but most of the time you want to let your ADC kill, so that way they get the gold, because your main goal as a support is to make sure they stay alive, and you want to make sure they're the ones doing the most damage. So support to the exception to this. They're not supposed to farm minions. The ADCs are supposed to get all the gold they can, so they get their items, deal more damage faster, all that. So supports have, I believe it's 4 items they can buy in the beginning of the game. Frost Fang, oh god, Spectral Sickle, Relic Shield, and it's like there's another one, Steel Shoulder Guards. And so those there's 2 different passive or abilities, I guess, that come with those items. There's an AD and AP variant of each. Sorry, no one's left out. And so one of them is where if the support damages an enemy, it'll grant them 20 gold. And it happens for every time they damage an enemy. And there's like a cooldown of like 5 seconds between each time you do it, though, but it's a really good way to just earn gold as a support. And the other one, which is on Steel Shoulder Guards and Relic Shield, is going to be whenever a enemy minion gets below around 50% HP, I'd say, you're able to kill it. And I know I just said you don't want to kill minions because you're taking gold from your ADC, but the support item, the ability behind it, it actually gives the gold to both you and your ADC. So it's really good at, maybe you want to take a cannon because cannons give the most gold. So as a support, you want to make sure that you're farming the cannon minions with that support item. Gold is spent upon death or resetting in the shop, clicking B, recalling. And you want to buy items and give yourself an advantage over your opponent because the items obviously give different stats. So the higher stats you have on paper, you should be winning against your opponents more. And spending your gold, there's a plethora of different items in League. You'll probably have close to around 100 different items in League of Legends. It's extremely hard as a new player, and even probably around to level 40 to really know what they all do and to remember them. Be like, oh, in this situation, I should buy a Spirit Visage because they have a lot of AP on their team. I need a stack magic resistance. And you're not expected to know what to buy as a new player. Please don't feel the pressure of, oh shit, what do I buy? It's perfectly okay to be like, what the fuck do I buy? But just go to the recommended tab of the shop. It's going to tell you what you should build on your champion based off of what everyone builds. And I do recommend that you download a companion app such as Blitz or Professor. These programs tell you what to build on your champion. It alleviates some of the pressure of like, oh shit, I'm in base with all this gold. What do I buy? You don't want to be sitting there for a minute scrolling through. You want to be in base as little as possible. You just want to heal up and get the fuck out so you can get back on the map and get back to making plays and winning the game for your team. You will notice if you click on an item, if you left click on an item, it'll bring up basically looks like a family tree of items. And these are going to be your ladder items, these built into your big item, like a mythic item. Let's say you're trying to build a Luden's Tempest. You can build a Lost Chapter, and it will give you some stats of the mythic. It'll give you some of the mana, some of the ability power, but it won't give you the full, I guess, power of the mythic item. But for 1,300 gold, because Luden's is like, I don't know, 3,400 gold, obviously it's going to take you a while to get to that. So by buying ladder items, you're basically buying yourself a little bit of stats that will, and it deducts the cost of ladder items out of the whole item. So don't worry about that. Please buy ladder items. It's going to make your laning phase a lot better. You don't want to wait for 3,400 gold before you buy your first item. Buy ladder items, slowly build those into mythic and legendary items, and that's really how you want to spend your gold in League of Legends. Final slide is going to be talking about the companion apps a little more. Blitz and Professor. They can do more than just tell you what to purchase. I didn't mention it because that was the topic of that slide, but they can tell you who to ban as a champion, because at the beginning of the game you get to ban one champion. Each player has to ban one champion each, total of 5 bans. So let's say you're playing mid and you're playing, let's say you're playing Zoe and you really hate Yasuo because he can just wind wall your Q. So you can just ban Yasuo. It'll tell you basically who your champion loses against most. kind of tell you who to ban because as a new player, you're not going to know matchups all that well. But they also tell you what to level up, what abilities to level up and when. So your first ability you level up is probably going to have the biggest impact. If you level up your movement speed ability instead of your damage ability, then you're going to be having a hard time until you hit level 2. But yeah, so that's all for this video. Sound School episode 1, take 2. I hope everything I presented was understandable, I guess. I hope you guys kind of picked up what I was putting down. If anything wasn't clear, you guys just have any more questions, feel free to comment below, or you can add my Discord that's on the screen as well. Tummy7419. Just add me, tell me you're from YouTube, tell me you got a question or something. I'd be more than happy to answer you if I know where you came from. If you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys appreciated the effort I put into this, please consider dropping a like, maybe subscribing as well. In part 2, episode 2, I'll probably cover, I'll definitely cover runes for sure. I'll probably touch a little more in depth on AP versus AD, maybe get some gameplay showing the differences on the champion, show AP scalings and AD scalings as well. Definitely too complicated for an episode 1 though. This is just the very basics. Hopefully this is all you need to know to get out there and win your first game. The fact that you're even here watching this video means that you're probably more dedicated than I was when I first started playing, because I just kind of went in blindly, and that's probably why it took me a little longer to learn the game. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Appreciate you guys staying till the end if you have, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.